Hey, again, as the news come out, I will try to do my best to cover and react to it, man. Uh, Back with another video from TMZ says Wendy Williams' situation is bigger than we imagined. Now, by now, you all should be caught up on what's going on with her whole like guardianship, that she's in this place. They're saying that she's this, other people saying that she's that. They did a whole documentary saying that, Wendy Williams is stable enough. She shouldn't be in that place. There was situations going on with her money and her family. It's a lot, but that's all I know so far. We ain't gonna waste no more time. Let's jump right into it.
Welcome to TMZ Live. Harvey Levin here.
Charles here.
This is one of the most outrageous things I have heard in a long, long time.
In a case that has been filled with outrageous things.
Wendy Williams was in court yesterday, in court with her niece, Alex Finney. It was an acrimonious hearing.
The judge in the guardianship.
The judge in the guardianship read Alex Finney the Riot Act, threatened her, and said, "You're talking," making an accusation that she's talking to the media. And if you continue doing it, I'm going to do this to you. I'm going to do that to you. There is a gag order in this case. I can tell you that the judge has scared a lot of people involved in the case. And I can't figure out, why is there a gag order in this case that Wendy can't talk about her circumstances? Why is the judge doing it?
Crazy.
That aside,
there is something
that's even
way, way bigger. At the end of the hearing, this judge first basically said Wendy's family was terrible, and then looks at Wendy and says, you had a great career. Your career is over. It is never coming back. You're done.
Boy, I can't wait to see the comments on that. Damn, your career over, you're done? That's actually pretty crazy. Because for her to say that, it just makes it seem like the judge is against her. Damn.
Why would a judge say that?
And what is the relevance to what they're actually there for? It just seemed it just seemed mean-spirited.
Right.
Totally.
The way it was relayed to us, because it wasn't really necessary for the conversation that was going on.
And by the way, the judge doesn't know what she's talking about. I mean,
by the way, there are a lot of people clamoring for Wendy to actually get back on the air and to have a show again.
When did this judge become Roger Ebert? I mean, I'm serious. Wendy Williams is a hot commodity right now. I can tell you from our Tubi documentary, it attracted a lot of attention. She's done interviews with major outlets. People are interested in her. So the idea that the judge would even say it, she's just wrong. But the fact that she'd say it is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So let's bring in somebody who has a dog in this fight.
Indeed, because he is now representing Wendy as her personal attorney. And certainly, as we've spoken to Joe Tacopina before, the goal here is to end this guardianship ultimately. And he is joining us right now. Joe, welcome to TMZ Live. Welcome back.
And before he gets to talking, I had talked about how I feel like, today, how everybody's doing podcasts, she can make a great, second half of her career on a podcast. Just whether she want to bring guests on there or just talk, for sure. But let's see what he got to say.
Hey, Charles. Hey, Harvey. It's sickening, honestly, just listening to you guys and hearing what you just said, from the issuance of a gag order to the statements, if true, that were made by this judge, in a court proceeding that has nothing to do with Wendy's career. Moreover, that were made in front of Wendy Williams. If true, that is outrageous, because this judge, she's not in the entertainment industry, so I don't know where she would get off opining about that and why that's even relevant to her role as a judge, who's basically the judge of the law, and in this case, judge of the facts. And why she's not a neurologist either. I mean, clearly, and someone who should be opining on whether Wendy Williams has the capability to get better and become a. But I will tell you, I've spent time with Wendy this week, and I've spoken to Wendy, Harvey, as you have. I'd say hundreds of hours over the last several months, and I will tell you, she's as Wendy Williams as she was 10 years ago. She's as Wendy Williams as she was when she had one of the best shows in television. She's absolutely capable of hosting a talk show or doing whatever she wants to do. I mean, she is there. She's got her wherewithal. And for someone to say that her career is over when they're a judge, judging her is really a display of a bias. If I were her lawyer yesterday in that court proceeding and she'd said that judge in front of my client, I would have stood up there with fury. And I would have said, first of all, I would have objected to that statement because it's totally improper coming from the court. Totally improper. But moreover, it's made without a basis in knowledge, and it's made without a medical background and without education. And so I would have lost my mind, honestly, if that had been said to my client or in my client's presence if I were there yesterday. It's disgusting.
We should make it clear to the audience that, Joe, you were not present for this because you have not yet been admitted to the guardianship case. The judge has to approve that, so you are right now just a personal attorney. But obviously,
wait, that judge, the one who said her career is over, has to approve him? If that's the case, good luck. Good luck. I need to know the why. You know what I mean? Like, why would the judge say that? Like, what did Wendy Williams do to her specifically?
at some point, you might end up in front of Judge Sokoloff, and like you, Joe, we are just, when we heard about this, we just thought,
this is just crazy.
Why?
What about it? And Joe, help me out in this gag order thing. It's like, why is there a gag order in a guardianship case?
I've never heard of one, okay? Harvey, I've never heard of one. Guys, the issuance of gag orders prohibiting participants in judicial proceedings from speaking to the public or the press about those proceedings is a form of what's known as prior restraint, presumptively invalid under the First Amendment and frequently held to be unconstitutional by lower courts, including the Second Circuit, which is the court that is in New York. It is beyond pale that you can't just issue a broad gag order and just say, that's what we're doing here. So it's prior restraint on constitutionally protected expression. And there's been so many cases on this. And look, gag orders I guess, technically were issued and could be deemed valid in cases where, like, witnesses' lives were perhaps at risk, in organized crime cases or cartel cases where you had, the name of a witness who maybe was at risk or something of that effect, or where you really could hinder an impartial jury, the right to a fair and impartial jury. And again, that's a stretch too. And I've just had that in the A$AP Rocky trial. Okay. The judge initially issued a gag order in our trial and then rescinded it because he said it is illegal. It's constitutionally invalid. Okay. In that trial. And that was with the jury. That was with the jury. Here, there's no jury. This judge is the fact finder. So what, is she going to get influenced by a statement made out of court? Of course not. It's to punish. It's really to intimidate litigants and their lawyers. And to me, it's outrageous. There should not be a gag order. If I were in that case, I would be fighting tooth and nail, and I'd be appealing any issuance of a gag order. Prior restraint on constitutionally protected expression is illegal. It's illegal, and it normally carries a heavy presumption against constitutional validity.
Joe, I'm wondering if Wendy, I know you said you've spoken to her this week, is she feeling like it's sort of haphazard whether or not she can leave this facility? But last night, she went out to dinner with Don Lemon and her niece, Alex.
Charles, I got some recon. Guess who she met before she met Don Lemon? Joe Tacopina.
Oh, really? Really?
They met
Well,
yesterday.
the reason I bring it up is because the 24 hours before that, on Wednesday night, she was about to go out to dinner with you and Alex, and the Guardian said, no, you can't go. And so it just seems like, what's the difference between Wednesday night, you were there, and Thursday night, you weren't at dinner, but now I got to hear about this meeting that you had with her before the dinner.
I guess the notion that there was this court appearance on Thursday, that Wednesday night was before Thursday's court appearance, so therefore she couldn't see her niece, who was.
So the one chick, the Guardian chick, said that she can go as she please, and now they told her no. No, something is up, man. I'm looking at some of the comments here. A lot of people saying the judge needs to be fired. I just don't understand the whole why. What is the meaning behind this? Like I hinted to, maybe she has some very, very damaging information. If they continue to label her as crazy, things that she may say, a lot of people aren't going to believe. So if they don't let her out of this guardianship or out of this place, then people are going to say, well, hell, maybe she is crazy. But if she gets out, and Wendy, she gonna get to talking, and this is just crazy, man. I'm gonna watch a little bit more, but this is wild.
Flying on Thursday, which makes absolutely no sense because they were able to speak on the phone as much as they wanted. So but if they saw each other in person, it would somehow influence Denise's testimony. I mean, the whole thing is so ridiculous. And the testimony, from what I understand, was much ado about nothing. Right. Really was. But it's just this proceeding is becoming a joke. Look, Wendy Williams supposedly passed a cognitive ability test. We're going on about a month now. Okay, if that's true, and I've been told it's true. Okay. Confirmed to be true, why is she still in a facility? Why, if I'm the judge or the guardian, I'd say, really, she's passed that test? She's not cognitively impaired? She doesn't have frontal lobe dementia? Let me see that test, because if that's the case, my God, this poor woman in her 60s, early 60s, is being held in a facility against her will, right, where there are people in their 80s and 90s who don't know their names. Look at her. Look at that video you have of her. That is a prison-like setting. She can't leave. Wendy Williams. Yeah. She didn't
forced to wave to her fans outside the window.
Wrong. Yeah. I mean, she didn't commit a crime. She didn't do anything wrong. She's not a danger to herself or the community. Why is her ability to be move around restrained? Why is her movements restrained? There's a sense of dignity that's being stripped.
Why do you think the judge and the guardian are going in so hard to keep her in this confined guardianship?
Great question.
Harvey, it's I sometimes, honestly, I lay awake at night thinking, like, trying to come up with an answer. And I don't know if there's the guardian has a financial motivation, is financially motivated by this. I don't know if there's, now there's a line drawn in the sand, so to speak, and we're going to show each other who's the boss type of thing. I just don't understand it. But it is just wrong. It's just wrong. And I hope and pray I get into that guardianship case. Look, I respect the court, I respect the judges, and I respect the roles of a judge, but I do not and will not be bullied by anyone, including a judge who's going to impose gag orders that aren't permissible, who's going to make threats to litigants. That's not my gig. I don't really go with that. And I'm respectful, and I've never had a disciplinary complaint against me. That's ever. And so I will, I know where the boundaries are, but also I'm not afraid to break some china if necessary. And this case is disgusting, just to be honest with you. I mean, I'm just really disgusted by this case. This poor woman, and I've spoken to her, and she's handling it as well as anyone could handle it. I'll be honest with you. Yeah. I'd be losing my mind if I were being held. Really, it's over a year. She's in a place where she can't leave. I mean, it's insane to me. It really is insane. And it's sad. It's sad. And so something has to be done. I'm not leaving her side until she's out of there. I promise you that.
Okay.
All right.
We believe you on that.
Yeah.
We believe you, Joe. Hey, we saw. By the way,
I know what he was going to ask.
I gotta
He's
ask.
going to ask you, what
How
did
was
you
Il
have
Molino?
at Il Molino, place that you and Alex went on Wednesday night. He's been going.
Okay, all right. Yeah. This is like for the judge to just come out and say that. Like she's trying to get out of this guardianship and she's like, your career is over. I'm like thinking like, okay, let's say her career is over. Okay. Still, get me the hell up out of here. You know what I mean? Very strange. Very strange. I think we all can agree that this is very strange. I'm just going by what they are saying. They're saying that they've been talking to her. She sounds like Wendy of 10 years ago. I'm just going based off of that. I don't know her personally. I've never talked to her. I can't sit up here and judge. I'm just going by what they're saying. And they're saying she needs to be up out of there. So whether she gets out and have like a damn relapses, I don't know. I don't know. This is just weird. Like, share, comment below. Appreciate y'all coming over and watching, man. Peace out.